I don't think I love you no more. You never seem to call me lately, but I don't think she knew me at all.
Alright, it's been a while since I made a video. I've been in Tennessee on vacation for Christmas, and I've been doing, writing some stuff down for the videos. I just haven't had a chance to make one. So I figured I'd make one today. Hopefully everything will stay quiet enough for me to complete this video, but in the event that screaming kids come running down here making noise, just try to overlook that, because it'd be extremely hard to edit all that out of the video. So, title of the video today is how Manitowoc County killed Teresa Halbach, or you could say her blood is on their hands. Regardless, however you want to look at it. So, when you think of the title, Making a Murderer, there's two different ways you can think about it. Guilters typically think about the title if they're thinking that Stephen Avery is guilty, and they say, well, he was innocent the first time he was locked up, but somewhere along the way of being locked up those 18 years, they incidentally made a murderer because he was locked up innocently the first time, and then when he got out, he became, all that time in prison made him a murderer, which would still be their fault. Or you can view the title as Making a Murderer as with the evidence being planted. You made a murderer by falsifying evidence, planting evidence, lying, stuff like that. But there's some few main people that I want to discuss, and what I'm going to say is really going to work to both of those theories. So regardless of how you think about it, I'm going to lay out facts that regardless if Stephen Avery is innocent or not, and Brendan Dassey, these are facts that Manitowoc County made two murderers. And we're going to start with Stephen Avery because this is where everything begins. So, Sheriff Tom Kasurik, the DA Dennis Vogel, and a couple minions, Andy Colburn, Lieutenant Link, Eugene Cachet. I don't know how they pronounce it up there, but Louisiana we pronounce it Cachet. But one person in particular, before Stephen Avery got locked up the first time for the rape he didn't commit, he had a few minor run-ins with the law. He had some burglaries where he broke in and stole some beer, stuff like that, minor things. And he pled guilty to all of those things because he admitted that he did wrong. But in particular, what I want to talk about today is this really all goes back to Sandra Morris, Stephen's cousin. Now, if you look at just pictures, if you judge the book by their covers, and you look at a picture of Stephen Avery in 1985, and you look at a picture of Sandra Morris in 1985, you would be shocked that they are even related in whatever way that they are. And Sandra Morris looks like she's just an uppity type person at that time, and Stephen looks like he's just your run-of-the-mill hillbilly, I guess you could say, right? Which isn't a bad thing. That's just how the pictures look. But what's interesting to note here is that Sandra Morris was married to Will Morris, who was a deputy at the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. Okay? And Sandra Morris is also friends with Judy Dvorak, the deputy lady that said when Penny Bernstein was asking, they was asking to describe the assailant, she said, this sounds like Stephen Avery. They all had their hands into this. They're all dirty. But I'm going to get back to the Sheriff Tom Kasurik. To me, he's the main one that got, other than Sandra, that got this whole ball rolling. So Sandra, being an uppity piece of crap that she was, she's telling people all these stories about Stephen's going out there exposing himself, and he's doing this and doing that. And he runs her off the road, points an empty gun at her. It's not loaded. So he goes to jail for that. Keep in mind, her husband is a deputy at Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. So now, they already didn't like him. So now you got this going on. So you can imagine how that got the ball rolling. So then, if I'm not mistaken, he bails out from that charge. While he's on bail is when when he's out on bail, Penny Bernstein gets raped. And then here you go, you have this ball that got pushed and it's rolling down the hill. And now the friend and the husband of Sandy Morris that worked with Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department are all implying that this assailant is Stephen Avery. Even though the height description doesn't match, the eye color description doesn't match, all these things don't match. And so they knew, and we all know, they knew he was innocent. They knew he was innocent, but they convicted him anyway. So he spends 18 years in prison for something that he did not do. They're all in on it. They all knew about it. There's no way you can convince me that they didn't know about it. Okay? So Judy Dvorak, she's sitting there saying that this sounds like Stephen Avery when this isn't even Stephen Avery's MO. He's never been accused of raping anybody before 1985. Now, they deny him. They break the law themselves. The extent they go to make sure Stephen Avery goes down for this crime, they break the law themselves by not allowing his name to be on the attorney list, by not allowing him a phone call. This case, the DCI, I believe it was called, the DCI said they seen problems all in this case, but the Attorney General decided that they didn't do anything wrong. The sheriff was more involved in this case than any other case that he had ever been involved in. And he told Stephen that I got you now. So from the sheriff to the DA to all the minions below, Colburn, Link, Judy Dvorak, Sandra Morris, Will Morris, all of them, every single one of them was corrupt. They were biased. Now this is fact. This isn't speculation. They were all biased. They were corrupt towards Stephen Avery. And the good large majority of them had reason to believe and knew he was innocent of raping Penny Bernstein. So no matter how you look at it, they put this man in prison for 18 years for something he did not do. Regardless if they planted the evidence or if Stephen Avery actually did kill Teresa Halbach, which I do not believe he did, her blood essentially traces all the way back to Manitowoc County. Her blood is on the sheriff's hands. Her blood is on the DA's hands. Her blood is on Sandra Morris's hands. Because Stephen wouldn't have ran her off the road and done all that stuff if she wasn't spreading rumors about him. And that's just fact. So, the city of Manitowoc County police, now the city police told the sheriff's department about Allen. Okay, they told Tom Kasurik that you got the wrong guy. He wouldn't listen. He knew. 3 women in the DA's office told the DA, you got the wrong guy. 3 women in the DA's office told Dennis Vogel, you might want to look at this. We think you have the wrong guy. Because this sounds more like Gregory Allen. This doesn't sound like Stephen Avery. So the district attorney shunned the whole thing away and convicted this person anyway, even though he knew Stephen Avery was innocent. Not to mention, the day Stephen Avery got out and the new district attorney called Dennis Vogel, Dennis Vogel asked him, was there anything in his file about Gregory Allen? Now, the fact that the Attorney General and didn't find any wrongdoing in any of that case when they did the review. It's all politics, every bit of it. So the Attorney General's office played a role in this too, because the DCI said they seen problems up and down this whole case, and they reported on all of those problems. But the Attorney General, when the report got to their desk, they said there was no wrongdoing. It's all politics. But the Special Investigative Team, the DCI, they laid it all out of all the corruption, all of these things, the phone call that Coburn got, and when they said the Brown County Sheriff's Department or the city cops, whatever it was, said that we got a guy admitting to a crime that somebody's locked up for in Manitowoc County. They refused to listen to it. They didn't file the report until the day he got out. All of these people knew Stephen Avery didn't do this, which makes this whole situation all the more despicable. And all of these people should be serving some type of sentences, jail sentences, for putting this guy away for 18 years who didn't do anything wrong. So no matter how you want to look at it, they break protocol. I mean, think about this case. Think about all the things they did to Stephen Avery that you wouldn't do to a normal person. They didn't allow him a phone call in jail. It's illegal. They didn't put his name on an attorney list. The sheriff didn't want him talking to an attorney. They break DNA protocols in his cases, right? She contaminated the sample, and they wasn't even supposed to do that. The FBI recreates EDTA tests just for this case. He never had a presumption of innocence. And another thing I'm still confused about, why did the judge in the Teresa Halbach trial, why did the judge not allow Stephen's attorneys to present a Denny suspect? Because they said that they wasn't allowed to present one during the trial. Is that not a violation? Because Wisconsin law says that you can present a Denny suspect. Why weren't Stephen's attorneys not able to present one? So no matter how you want to look at it, you can say, if you say that you think Stephen Avery is guilty, that's just what you believe. Or if they planted all the evidence in the Teresa Halbach case, that's what I choose to believe. They had 36 million reasons why to plant that evidence. Regardless of how you look at it, you can trace Teresa Halbach's death. Her blood is on people's hands all the way back to 1985. If Stephen did do it, it's still on Manitowoc County's hands. They created the monster, if it was him. They put an innocent man in prison for 18 years. Most of you haven't done 6 months or a year in prison. This guy did 18 years in prison for something he didn't do. And the fact that so many people knew or had every reason to know that he was innocent. And then he finally gets out, and then that happens. They start deposing all of them. Judy Dvorak, Sandra Morris, Jean Cachet, all these guys. And think of the coincidence. Right before Dennis Vogel and Tom Kasurik is about to be deposed in this lawsuit, Teresa Halbach comes up missing. Jean Cachet refused to believe that Stephen was still innocent after DNA said that he was innocent. He even stated out of his mouth, and I thought it was very interesting, that you know that, I don't know that. And he said DNA evidence has been planted before. You know, it's been manipulated, and he said, so y'all know that, but I don't know. He, even after faced with DNA evidence, he refused to believe Stephen Avery was innocent of that rape. He drew the sketch right from a mugshot to show Penny Bernstein without showing them in the lineup. All of these people are corrupt. All of these people knew Stephen Avery was innocent. And all of these people should be punished. They should be locked up for some amount of time, whatever the law calls for, because all these people are guilty. That's all I got for today. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section.